As designers, we all know how important it can be to find the right font for the right project. Whether you're building a brand, designing a website, or laying out copy for print, finding that perfect font can make a huge difference when it comes to the look and feel, usability, and even the success of a design. And if you're anything like me, you've spent more time than you'd like to admit sifting through low-quality fonts on sketchy websites. But on the other side of the coin, most of your clients can't afford tens of thousands of dollars for the high-end typefaces. That's why in this video, I'll be walking you through the best websites for free commercially usable fonts that you can use to elevate your designs and also stop worrying about licensing issues. Be sure to stick around to the end of this one because I've got some bonus recommendations for you as well. But whether you're a designer, a web developer, or a brand creator, these resources are gonna save you a ton of time and money. Let's get into it. Okay, so the first website I want to show you guys where you can get free commercially usable fonts is uncut.wtf. As you can see here, they have all their fonts broken down into categories. So if you're looking for a sans serif, a serif, a monospace, or a display typeface, you can click into each category. Under display, you can see they have some really interesting different typefaces. So under display, these are definitely more niche in a lot of cases, but that's really great that they have those options when you're looking for something really specific for a project.
Times New Roman, across the board. No Geneva, no Garaman, definitely no papyrus.
Papyrus? Are you kidding me? There's no place for that in a professional office setting.
Yes, thank you, April.
Under sans serif, they have a ton of really usable, high quality fonts. So Geist, this is one of my favorites to use. It's kind of like an alternative. So definitely, this is a great resource for sans serif fonts if you're looking for something more professional as well. Liga Sans, I love this FI ligature here that makes it super unique. And so with all of their fonts, if you click into info here, you can see who designed it, a little bit of information about like how many weights it is it variable? You can see the type specimen here. And then I love this, just really bold in your face, license for dummies. It kind of breaks down exactly what the font is usable for. Is it commercially usable? Is it only personally usable? So I think this is great because a lot of the times the problem is that when you're downloading a font, it's not super clear what it's usable for. They kind of hide it in a end user license agreement, a README file that you have to click and open. So I love that Uncut is just putting it front and center. You can't miss it. You know exactly what this font is usable for. And that's definitely something I would stress to you is all these websites I'm showing you, they do have free commercially usable fonts by a majority, but definitely double check any fonts you're downloading. Just make sure, verify that it is commercially usable and it's not a trial font or free for personal use. That's just a best practice. Anytime you're downloading a font, you don't want to get slapped with a licensing cease and desist or something like that. So just be sure to do your due diligence. Again, I love that Uncut makes it really easy, really in your face, so there's no potential for mistakes here. All right, so next up we have freefaces.gallery. So similar to Uncut, up here at the top, we have all the different categories, which makes it really easy to quickly jump into the type of font you're looking for, whether that's cursive or display or monospace. As you scroll down, it has a really nice display here, kind of showing off the specimen. You can see here it has a font that's made out of body part. So some really niche stuff here too for projects if you're looking for something really random or specific. And then if you click into one of these typefaces, it gives you the type specimen, gives you some information about why it was designed, how it was designed, the inspiration for the font. So I love that they have that. So again, this is a really easy to use website. They've done a good job of curating their selection of fonts, breaking it down into different categories, and then making it very clear about how you're allowed to use the font, and then making it easy to download as well. One thing to note is that freefaces.gallery does have some fonts that are not commercially usable. So like I was saying before, just double check. For example, Tightrope, this is a really beautiful font, but you see here the license is personal use only. So again, just be sure to double check to make sure that the font you're downloading is commercially usable if that's how you're looking to use the font. All right, next up we have openfoundry.com. And so by the name, as you can tell, this is a curated list of open source fonts. So we can jump right in here. And so I love the way that Open Foundry showcases their fonts because they type it out into these quotes from like famous designers and artists and philosophers. So it really gives you a good idea of how the font would work in the real world. Whereas on, for example, free faces, it's just kind of showing you the letter A in uppercase and lowercase. That can make it a little bit difficult to see what the font actually looks like in a paragraph or a sentence. So I like that they're focusing more on the real world here. I also love that they give you these sliders up here because they allow you to play with the font sizing, with the line spacing, with the tracking of the font. So again, you can really quickly see how these fonts would work in your projects. You don't have to download the font, open it in Illustrator, play with the settings to see how it would look. They let you do it right here in the browser without even clicking into the font itself. So this website saves you a ton of time in actually using these fonts and finding one that would work for your project.
He just highlighted avatar, he clicked the drop-down menu, and then he just randomly selected papyrus, like a thoughtless child just wandering by a garden, just yanking leaves along the way.
Up here in the top right, they even take it a step farther where you can click on these icons to invert it onto black. You can put it over an image to see how it would look over an actual image instead of just a flat background. You can put it into all caps or sentence case, and then you can even change the color of it in real time. So this is honestly one of the most intuitive and easy to use font websites I've used, period. Whether that's typefaces you have to pay for or free ones. So yeah, big shout out to Open Foundry for doing such an incredible job with this. And on top of that, they also just have some really incredible fonts here. Blue next bold. This is a really cool font that's kind of like a modern twist on black letter or medieval. So this is a really awesome selection of fonts and a really easy to use package. So definitely check out openfoundry.com. Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying the video so far and finding it valuable. If you are, please take a second to like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. As a small content creator, every single engagement helps, so I really appreciate it. For those of you that want to support the channel even more, be sure to check out the Artful Ruckus shop, which I'll link up above and in the description down below. You can get some great templates, there's some free resources you can download, and you can even book a call with myself if you want to go over your portfolio, your resume, or just talk about your design work. All right, enough of that. Let's get back to the video. All right, so next up we have Tunera Type Foundry. And so whereas the other websites I've showed so far have been collections of free and open source fonts, this is actually a Type Foundry that is creating their own fonts. So this is gonna have fonts that you don't see on other websites for the most part. They're actually making these fonts themselves instead of collecting other people's. So this is also a really easy to use site where you can kind of type whatever you want inside of the type specimens here in real time. So you can see it as a title, you can see it as body copy. So I really like that. Over here to the right, you can see the license. It's free to use, free to distribute, free to modify. You should credit Tunera and the designer. So you can click into the open font license here and learn more about that. Go right into the download. You can see who designed it and support them. So that's a really cool feature too. They're offering up these free fonts for you to download. It's open source, but if you want to support them, throw them a few bucks. That's incredible. Definitely encourage you to do that if you do use one of these fonts. When you think about it, when you're downloading a commercial typeface that isn't free, you're probably paying between $30 and $60 per weight, per style. And so throwing these designers that are doing it for free, if you do use this work for a commercial project, that's a really incredible way to support them, to allow them to keep making open source fonts. So definitely encourage you to do that if you use them. As you can see, they have some very usable fonts here, but then also some very niche display fonts. This one looks almost like intestines or something like that. So I love that they have some really playful stuff in here. Again, if you're doing something very specific, these are the websites that you want to come to get inspiration for thinking outside of the box, right? Instead of just going and using Inter for every project, you can come to sites like this, get inspired, find something that no one has seen before, that no one else is using in commercial projects. This is one night serif. I'm actually thinking about using this in one of my own commercial projects right now. It's just an incredible serif font, has a lot of weights, a lot of styles, very usable. So again, a lot of really high quality typefaces and fonts are available here on Tunera, so definitely give it a look. So next up, we have a site that has some really funky typefaces and fonts velveteen.fr. Just looking at their about page here, they kind of talk about their mission. They do public engagements, promoting open, playful tools that embrace uninhibited approach to typography. So I love that they have a mission, and that definitely comes through in their typefaces and their fonts. And they also mentioned that everything that they make here is open source. So I love that as well. It lets you know what to expect when you're downloading these fonts from a licensing standpoint. So this site is a little bit more old school. It's a little bit less user-friendly. There's not really a way to sort by style of typeface. It's just kind of a list of everything they've done. You can click around up here at the top, but it's just by the name of the font. It's not by style. So it is a little bit of an adventure where you just kind of have to scroll and see all the different fonts. But again, there are some really cool options in here that I think are worthwhile. Some fonts that are really going to get you inspired, get you thinking, get you outside of the box. Like this Steps Mono is really cool. I could see this working really well as a title font or a display font. It's very retro, but a little bit of modern feeling in there as well. And so if you click in, again, it kind of gives you some information about who designed it, why they designed it. It looks like they actually do have collections here, so I misspoke. They are a little bit hidden, but it looks like you can click through to different collections of fonts and kind of sort it that way. So that's nice that they have that. They also have specimens here. So if you want to test it out, see how it looks, and then a ton of examples of the font at different sizes. So you can kind of figure out, is this a body font? Is this a title font? And then even some use cases down here. So that's really cool. You can see real work using this font, get inspired, see if they're using it for titles, for body, whatever the case may be. So that's really great as well, just to get the ideas flowing. And then of course the download here. And so this is a fun little touch here at the bottom. They have their footer and it's just the header, but it's upside down. So again, their ethos of making design work and typefaces that is tongue-in-cheek, it's irreverent. You can see that in the typefaces and you can see that in the UI of their website itself. So this is a really fun one to look through. All right, next up we have bestfreefonts.com. So this, like many of the others, has just a ton of high quality fonts. These tend to be a bit more usable than, let's say, the Velveteen site we just looked at. These are definitely a bit more professional that could be used in a wider range of projects. They're less niche. Generally, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for fonts. So it's great to have the different options. You can see up here at the top, again, they've broken it down by style, so you can very quickly jump into what you're looking for. I'm really liking this bricolage, grotesque. So like we've seen with a lot of these other sites, they've done a great job here of outlining how many styles there are. This one has 63, it's variable, so an extremely versatile typeface. That's really cool to see, especially considering that it is an open font license, so a real workhorse of a typeface here that you're able to get for free, so that's incredible. And then what I love about Best Free Fonts is that they have a really in-depth tester here where you can test every single weight. You can play with these sliders up here as far as the size, the letter spacing, the line height. So a really in-depth tester that, again, there's 63 different weights and styles in this typeface. Downloading that and testing all of them on your computer, it can become a bit of a mess when you're testing a lot of different fonts. So just letting you do it on the website saves you a ton of time, makes it really easy to see, is this something I want to use in my project? Is it a waste of time to download it? So I love that they've made it very user-friendly in that way. Clicking over up here to text gives it to you in more of like a body text. It shows you the font weights. So instead of even having to play with the slider to make it 48 pixels or 16 pixels, they've done it for you. So again, really time saving, really incredible that this is a free resource. Definitely a great website to visit and bookmark. I intended to jump to the next website, but I've just been looking through all these different typefaces because there's a lot of great ones here. Definitely a hobby and addiction I have is just scrolling through infinite typefaces. Maybe that'll be a live stream I do where I just look through typefaces. And we can just like put on some lo-fi music.
Check. Hello? Hello?
You're not trying to FaceTime the president again, are you?
No, that's ridiculous. I'm starting my own podcast.
Hey, that could be fun.
It's for the people who are interested in fonts.
Oh.
This is really clean. It's only one style, which is limiting. I see that a lot with these sans serif types, that it's a beautiful title font. It's like bold, but it's not adaptable, which makes it difficult to use for a full project. But This is a beautiful sans serif I have not seen before. So I'm just gonna go ahead and give this one a download. Bear with me. All right, I got Cal Sans. Don't worry, everybody. All right, so this next website is in French, so I'm going to butcher a lot of words and really struggle with pronunciation. But the web address is anrt-nancy.fr. And so just a little about this website and the collection before we jump in here. Created in 1985 to contribute to the development of typographic creation, the ANRT is a postgraduate research course of the École Nationale Supérieure d'Art et Design. I'm sorry, if anyone's French, I'm really sorry. That was really bad. I know that, you know that. Let's just move past. Let's move past it. NSAD and Nancy. So this is a open source type library that's designed in an academic environment. So if you want to learn more about it, definitely encourage you to read through here. They talk about their curriculum, the students that come in and work on these different typefaces. So super interesting and very different from any of the other websites that we're going to talk about here today. But jumping into the actual typefaces they have here, they have some really interesting specimens that you can check out. Off the bat, I love this Chaumont script here at the top. It's a beautiful handwriting style script. I love the way that the letter forms kind of flow into one another. It looks very natural. I'm a sucker for like monoline style handwriting font, so this is definitely one I'm going to be checking out. Like many of the others we've seen, you can actually type directly into this type specimen here, so that's great to just kind of see very quickly if it's going to work for your project. Being that it's academic based, they do have a number of kind of old time style typefaces here, and so that's really cool. It's stuff that you're not really going to see on a lot of other websites, so this is a great resource to have in your back pocket if you're looking for this style of type. These ornate drop letters are beautiful. This would work really well for like, I don't know, a fairy tale or some sort of storytelling, something medieval. That's beautiful. And so yeah, a lot of old time medieval black letter style typefaces here. So if you're looking for something that's in that realm, this is definitely a great website to check out and a great resource. All right, this next one is Use and Modify, usemodify.com. So this is a personal selection of beautiful, classy, punk, professional, incomplete, weird typefaces. So I love that. This is just Raphael's collection that he's been putting together for years. It's a ton of very different, disparate typefaces. He's owning that up front. But the fact that it's curated by one person and it's not putting itself into a box makes it really interesting to look through all of these different fonts and typefaces. I've done some browsing here in the past, and there are just a ton of really weird ones. But there's also some really cool ones that I've downloaded that could definitely work for commercial projects. This Violet Sans is really cool. It's almost like an IBM Plex or a DIN Orbit. I love that this has these hard angles instead of just all kind of rounded. Instrument Serif. This is a beautiful, narrow serif. This could work really well for titles, editorial, stuff like that. So this is a great collection. It has 28 pages, so you can really get lost browsing. I've definitely done it myself before. You are going to have to do a little bit of sifting with this being a personal collection. It is a little bit more hit or miss than some of the other websites we've looked at, but there are some gems in here, a lot of typefaces here and fonts that you're not going to find anywhere else. Like we've seen on all these other websites, if you click into a font, it's kind of the same information here. You get who designed it, you get related fonts, which is nice. It shows you the license here right up front, the description, so if you want to learn a bit more about the font. And then most of the download links here are external, so clicking that's going to take you to another website that's going to let you actually download the font. So really easy to use, all the information that you need to make sure that you have the proper license, that these are commercially usable, and a great selection of fonts here. All right, this next one is the OG. Anyone who's been looking into free fonts, open source fonts for any amount of time, you probably know this one, the League of Movable Type. These guys have been doing it for a very long time. I've used a number of their fonts throughout my career. I like that they kind of start you off with a story. So being that they are the oldest open source font foundry, I think it's great that they kind of give you some information here about how they came to be. And then they also show you all these incredible clients that are actually using their fonts in commercial work. So it adds a lot of social proof to what they've built here. Looking through their actual fonts, it's a pretty good mix of very usable typefaces versus stuff that's a bit more niche. Blackout is a really cool one I've used in the past when I wanted kind of like a stencil look. Here you can see they have some really beautiful usable serif fonts. League Gothic is a classic that I'm sure most of us have probably used, or if not, definitely seen it around. I honestly did not know that there was a League script version of that font, so that's pretty cool. It's like a full set of sans serif, serif, mono, and script, so that's really awesome if you're putting together a project where you need a few different styles. You know that these were kind of designed together to be meant to work together, so that's always nice to have those options. Ostrich Sans is a really beautiful, narrow sans serif font. Railway, I'm sure we've all kind of seen that one. So while these guys have been around for a long time, I wanted to make sure to kind of give them some shine. They are the original open source type foundry. I'm sure you guys have seen some of these fonts before, but maybe you got them from Google Fonts or something like that. Maybe didn't come directly to their website. Maybe you were not aware, like myself, of all of their different typefaces and font options. So the League of Movable Type definitely should be a staple in anyone's bookmarks folder. Okay, so this next one is really cool because it's a collection of typefaces and fonts exclusively designed by women. The web address is design-research.be/by-women, but the E in women is an X. So a little bit of a mouthful there. I'll be sure to put all the links down in the description below, but this site has an absolute ton of different typefaces and fonts here. It makes it really easy to scroll through them and again, see them all kind of being used in a sentence form. It is almost a little bit overwhelming with how many typefaces are on screen at one time. If anything, it does make it really quick to get through a ton of typefaces in one go. Instead of having to sort through page after page after page of like 5 or 6 typefaces, they just give it to you all in one big scroll here. So this is a collection of fonts. They are not a foundry. So you do see some of these things like League, Spartan. Some of these fonts we've already seen on other websites. They're just doing the curation work for you, so you don't have to go to all these different websites. If you're looking for beautiful fonts, beautiful typefaces made by women, this is the place to come to quickly get through a lot of them. So on this site, it's very simple. There's not really like type specimens. You can't click in to learn more about the font. Since this is just a collection, it's a curated list. If you click these little hearts over here on the right of each of the typefaces, it then takes you to an external website where you can learn more about it. You can download it. So a little bit less feature rich than some of the other websites, but again, it's still perfectly usable. It's really easy and quick to scroll through a ton of different fonts here and find one that would work for your project. This is a really beautiful layout here for inclusive sans I happen to click into. Gives you a lot of information. I love that they've kind of designed some different use cases and examples here while still educating you on the font. This is another one that I'm going to download for sure that I wasn't aware of before. So again, these sites work. You can find great fonts that are usable commercially, that are beautiful, that are just as good as these fonts that you might be paying thousands of dollars for elsewhere. All right, I put this next one more towards the end because it is one of the most popular free commercially usable font websites, but no list is complete without it. Fontshare.com. This is a really beautifully designed website. It's one of the best curated lists of free fonts to use. Again, they are not a foundry. They are just collecting fonts, but I feel like this is one of the best curated lists. Every font in the list is just super high quality. They're fonts that I would definitely use in commercial projects without a second thought. You know that they're going to be kerned properly, that they're going to have things like ligatures, that they're not going to be missing characters. Again, super high quality, really well curated. As far as the features on the website itself, again, they just have a ton of stuff here where you can star fonts you like if you don't want to download them. You just want to make collections. You can choose between different styles for fonts that have different weights or different italics and things like that. You can change the size. It gives you a quick look if it's closed source or open source. You can edit the text right here in the window. And then when you click in, it has all the features you would expect on a professional type website. So styles and glyphs, layout showing you the font used as a title or as body. So again, this is one of these websites that just has a ton of features for you to very quickly go through. Make sure the font's going to be very usable for your project, that it's appropriate before you commit to downloading it. because there's nothing worse than opening up your Photoshop or your Illustrator and seeing 10,000 fonts and you have to scroll for hours to find the one you want. For me, I like to make sure it's a well-curated list. I love looking through fonts, but I'm selective about which ones I actually download and select. And so I really appreciate websites like this that make it really easy to make sure that the font's perfect before you actually commit to adding it to your programs. Something else I really love about FontShare as well that I haven't seen on any of the other sites we've looked at so far is that they have a pairs section. So if you're looking for a title and a body lockup, a lot of the times you have to kind of do that experimentation yourself. But if you're looking to save some time and just find pairs that work, they've done the work for you. So as you can see here, they've just taken fonts they have available on their website, they've paired them up between title and body, and then made it really easy to just click add styles, add them both to your downloads. Really great that they're helping curate. Again, they're saving you time, they're saving you legwork, which I think when it comes to fonts and typefaces where we have thousands and thousands of options, curation, saving time, features like this, that's really where they're adding a ton of value. All right, so this is obviously one that pretty much everyone knows, but I have to mention it. After this, I do have 4 bonus websites that have even more free fonts, some really funky ones. But before we get to that, I do just have to mention Google Fonts. As great and as fun as all the other websites are, this is the best website for free commercially usable fonts. This is where I get 80 to 90% of the free fonts I'm using in my commercial work. So while it might seem boring or you've already been here and checked it out, they do keep adding new fonts. This is the best place to get your typefaces, so I definitely recommend using this as a first option and checking back from time to time as they do add new typefaces on a regular basis. So I won't spend too much time going through it. Again, I'm sure most of you have already used this site, but Google Fonts has just a ton of options here. You can sort them by style, by trending, by popularity, by what's new. You're gonna see classics in here like Roboto, Roboto Mono, Inter, Geist, Oswald. So just tons of incredible fonts that are professional quality, that have all of the features that you would come to expect from a paid font, but they're here, they're free, they're sortable, they're usable. And then they also even have icons and extra UI UX resources here that are all open source. They're all free to use in your projects. So again, it's a big one. I know you probably already know it, but no list is complete without mentioning Google Fonts. All right, so as far as the bonuses that I mentioned, these websites tend to be sites that do have free commercially usable fonts, but they also do have a lot of pay fonts as well. So you have to pay a little bit more attention to the licenses that you're looking at, to the pricing of the fonts, things like that. So that's why I wanted to include them as a bonus, not in the main section. But this first one is kernclub.com. So they have a ton of really weird and funky fonts and typefaces, which I love. A lot of them are more graphical, very niche, kind of like zine punk, that sort of style. And as you can see here, they have 182 of them, so there's a lot to look through. And a lot of them are pay to use fonts. They are cheap, they're 10 to 15 bucks, but they also do have plenty of free options. Like here you can see this Graveyard Shift font is free, Calzone is free, Kingdom font is free. So it is a little bit hit or miss. You do have to do some digging to find the free fonts because they are interspaced with the pay to use fonts. And from what I can tell, there's not a way to sort by free. So it's a little bit clunky in that respect. But if you are looking for some really fun fonts, you want to kind of do some digging, this is definitely a great place to do that. When you click into their fonts, they also have some really fun examples of how the fonts can be used, of just kind of treatments, just to kind of get the ideas flowing. So this is a really fun website. It doesn't take itself very seriously. It's very tongue-in-cheek. kernclub.com is a great one to take a look at. The next bonus site I want to talk about is deathoftypography.com. So again, this is a mix of free commercially usable fonts, free for personal use fonts, and paid fonts. So be sure to take a look at any of these fonts that you're thinking about downloading and just making sure that the license is what you hope it is. As far as their selection goes, they have some pretty cool options here that have some character to them, but they're generally not as over the top as what we just saw with Kern Club. Nightingale here is a really cool one, kind of like a modern Gothic font. When you click in, you get this really beautiful presentation. You can see this one is a pay as you wish, open source. single weight display font. So it's nice that they give you that information up front. It's not like you have to come in here and dig and read through a README. You just want to make sure that it does list those options as far as open source and pay as you wish. And as always, with a pay as you wish or with a support the creator, these are open source fonts. If you do use it, I do encourage you to throw them a few bucks if you're using it for a commercial project. It's just a nice way to support these open source foundries. And they also do provide a lot of features as far as testing it, as far as the specimens, as far as light, dark, putting on a color background, and then again, giving you the download, making sure you understand the license. So some really great options here on deathoftypography.com. Okay, so the next bonus site I want to talk about is typetype.org. So a lot of you probably already know this. This is a type foundry. They have some really great pay-to-use fonts, things like TT Norm, stuff that you see being used by large companies all the time. But something that you might not realize is that they also do have a library of free-to-use fonts that's kind of hidden down here in the footer. So again, they're more known as a pay-to-use professional type foundry. But down here at the bottom in the footer, they have a free fonts project link. You can click here. And then you see this is a collection of free fonts and test typeface versions from the TypeType collection. So like we've talked about before, some of these are completely free to use commercially. Some of these are trial fonts that you can use for free to try them and see if they're going to work for your project. Some of them are only free for personal use. So again, this is one you really want to make sure that you're understanding the license before you use it. The ones that say free font, these ones are free for commercial use, I believe. If it says trial font here, for those you're just downloading a trial file that's going to allow you to use it, but legally you can't use it in commercial work unless you pay to use it. As far as the fonts they offer, TypeType is a super high quality font foundry, so that's reflected in the free fonts as well. And they do span a really wide range from sans serifs and display typefaces. So this is another one that's definitely worth taking a look at, seeing what they have available for free. And again, just make sure that you're double checking those font licenses. All right, and last but not least, this is one that you probably didn't know about, but awards.com, which is obviously known for their incredible website designs that they feature, giving people awards and things like that. They also have a collection of free fonts available on the website. I honestly don't even know how I came across this. I don't know how to get to it from the actual website, but if you Google search awards free fonts, it'll pop up, or obviously you can just click it down in the description down below. One thing I like with their selection is that they're kind of showing off designed specimens. So on a lot of the other websites we've seen, they just kind of have the full alphabet and you can edit it as you need to. But here they're showing off these designed examples of each typeface. So it really kind of gets the juices flowing a bit faster, kind of lets you see what it might look like in a real project. So I like that approach they have. And being awards, you know that they're going to be curating this list and featuring some really trendy fonts that are going to work well on the web. A lot of stuff that's going to work really well as a display font, like Humane we're seeing here. Dirty Line 36 Days of Type 2022. That's a really crazy font that mixes serif and this really intense script. So a really well curated list of fonts that you know is going to be on trend, stuff you're going to be seeing in these award-winning websites pretty often. So some really incredible options here as well. All right, everyone, that's it for today's video. I hope you found some new websites you didn't know about before that help you find the perfect font for your next design project. Thanks so much for tuning in. Now go out there and make a ruckus.